Seeing possibility increases probability. So essentially what that means is if you get in an environment where you're exposed to certain things in your life, whether that be a friend around you that has a materialistic possession around you, or you're talking to someone that maybe has a great deal of peace in their life, it just shows you seeing that possibility breaks down that mental barrier and belief that you may not be able to get a certain thing that you want in your life. Seeing another individual or just seeing it out in the world in general breaks down that myth in your head and makes it possible. The impossible becomes possible. What appeared impossible in your mind is now an actual thing because you've seen someone else has done it.
If you realize something is possible and someone sets the bar at a much higher standard than you ever thought was real, then it's not that you want to be them or you're jealous or envious of that person, but you're in a place where you're like, I can get myself even better than I was yesterday and max out your own potential.
Jesus fucking. God, my fucking eardrums were just sent to another galaxy.
Oh, thank God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 52 of The Conscious Cast with your boy Cal and your boy Mr. Jason Doctor / Scalora.
Doctor / Scalora.
That's his, no, he's not a doctor. That's his official government name.
Facts. Jason Doctor / Scalora. Oh God.
So yeah, guys, we were having a nice little conversation about seeing probability increases possibility, right? And so, or what's the other way around?
Seeing possibility increases
there you
probability.
go. Yeah, seeing possibility increases probability. And I'm taking this credit from Ken Vanellis, I believe, if I'm saying that correctly. Really cool dude. He's a YouTuber / spiritual trucker. Really cool guy. So definitely go check him out. Wise words for sure. But I remember when I first saw that and him saying that, and I was like, seeing possibility increases probability. So essentially what that means is if you get in an environment or you get in a type of situation where you're exposed to certain things in your life, right? Whether that be a friend around you that has a materialistic possession around you, or you're talking to someone that maybe has a great deal of peace in their life, right? They've got it together, right? They've got their shit together, as like a lot of people say nowadays, even though no one, and I mean no one, has all their shit together, right? It just shows you seeing that possibility, right? Kind of breaks down that mental barrier and belief that you may not be able to get a certain thing that you want in your life, right? So whether that be inner peace, whether that be a materialistic possession, right? Anything, really, anything. Seeing another individual or just seeing it out in the world in general breaks down that myth in your head, right? And makes it possible, right? So the impossible becomes possible. What appeared impossible in your mind is now an actual thing because you've seen it, because you've seen someone else has done it, right? And so this brings in the 4-minute mile that you mentioned beforehand.
Yeah. I forget. I mean, the guy's name is Roger Bannister, and he broke. When did he do it? Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile barrier 68 years ago. Wow. According to YouTube. So 68 years ago, before then, for a very long time, I'm not going to name out any numbers because I have no idea. But before then, people didn't think that breaking the 4-minute mile barrier was possible at all. It was just a thing that they said. Was everybody just said, it's just impossible. That's where our limit is. That's what the cap is for human beings. But people got damn close, seconds close to breaking that barrier. And until Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile barrier, nobody could do it. But within a very short period of time, I don't know the actual statistics, but within like that first year after he broke it, there was probably, I don't want to throw out numbers I have no idea about, but it was a lot. It was definitely like 10 plus people that broke the 4-minute mile barrier. And now high school students are doing it.
Wow, holy
shit. But before then, you would have been looked at like you were a fucking lunatic, which is ironic because the term lunatic comes from people that used to say it was a term of crazy for people that thought you couldn't make it to the moon. Like you're a lunatic. Oh no, yeah. For people that thought you could make that, we were gonna put a man on the moon.
Oh, Luna. Ooh,
Yeah,
is that-
yeah. That's what the
Wow.
term lunatic,
Cool,
which is
that's
ironic
sick. Yeah,
because
that's
we
really
actually
cool.
made it to the moon.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyways, they would say you're crazy for thinking that, especially a high school student breaking the 4-minute mile barrier.
yeah.
A 17-year-old, you're
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Not only can a high school student not do it, nobody can do it.
Yeah.
But once that vision of what's possible became clear to everybody, that's when everybody else had their beliefs change. And as a result of their beliefs changed, their actions changed, their habits changed, and they accomplished the things they wanted to get after because it was actualized in their mind, right? And so, it comes up with everything. It's not just a 4-minute mile. It's not just physical, right? And you don't need. The point is that you and I think we're on the same page here with is, don't wait for someone to break the 4-minute mile barrier. Break those own stupid barriers in your own head from your parents, from society, from whoever's telling you or making you believe that you can't do certain things, right? And with that said, I wanted to be very clear because I even had a conversation about this with my friend the other day. Contradictory to that, I'm a big believer in you're never going to get to the top 1% of a certain area, of a certain skill, of a certain thing for most things.
Oh yeah.
You're just not,
Yeah.
right? Like I always give the NBA example. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
I don't care how hard I work.
Yeah.
It's just not happening, right? With that in mind, find what my MBA is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And when it comes to those things that you know that you're good at, don't wait for that 4-minute barrier to be broken.
Yeah.
Break those things down for yourself. If you know that you're naturally even sort of gifted at something, don't listen. Close your fucking ears. Close your fucking ears.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I'm saying?
especially if someone is coming from a place that we've touched on before that isn't necessarily established in that type of area that you're in, right? It's just like, dude, like if you're able to really understand and recognize within yourself your possibility and where you can go, right? And if you're able to use your own mind to create a hypothetical scenario where you expose yourself to certain things, right? So maybe it be you're really good at being at basketball, right? And you're like, I could do a 360 dunk one day. But like your friends are like, nah. But you have like the athleticism, the ability to do a 360 dunk, right? But that's not to say that everyone's able to do that. But if you create that hypothetical scenario in your mind, right, and you really envision that in your head, right, and you have the training, you have like the things around you that could really propel you and you have picked up on certain cues and patterns and information in your life that shows that, wow, I've shown traces of getting to that point. Maybe if I work hard enough in like whatever improvements you need to make, I could really actually fully grasp this in my life. And once you have all the areas, fully enhanced, then you can actually start to do that thing. And I think big thing too that you touched on there, like something you're naturally gifted at and in alignment with what you like, right? That a lot of times is people when they face those beliefs and they aren't necessarily in an environment where they are able to allow those natural, I guess you could say, skills to flourish, those skills will never flourish, right? And they'll go unseen, or they'll go unseen, meaning they don't even become conscious of it, right? And so it is really, really important for individuals to be aware of like what you're good at, right? Like I know that I know what I'm not naturally good at. Like, so for example, I am a person that takes a long time to process information, right?
Yeah.
And to really synthesize sources. But I know that I'm really good at synthesizing information over time and putting it into a really organized, I'm like trying to think of words. Like a really
the irony of it.
like a really constructive piece.
Take your time,
Yeah,
and then it will be good.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it takes me a really long time to like immediately process information, but over time, as I like really get down and work hard, I can really understand. I can really understand and come up with something great. And whether it's be in school, whether it's be in video editing, like it's always like that for me.
Right.
And that's just how I am. Like I'm just like a late bloomer, right? And so that's what I'm naturally. I'm not naturally good at being a short bloomer, right? You know, I don't immediately get things, but over time, and as I understand them very well,
Yeah.
and I can really, really, I think, create some profound insights in conjunction with other perspectives in my environment. So it's really just being conscious of those your natural tendencies, right?
Right.
And not necessarily giving in to your own beliefs and others in your environment.
If you're a competitive dude or you're a super competitive girl and you feel like that competitive spirit is something that you should just dampen and put under the rug and not let flourish because people have told you, or maybe you even just believe yourself, that that's an egoic thing and you should never indulge in competitive behaviors, don't do it, dude. I've tried it. I've tried the other side of that. It doesn't, it's just depression because you're not being who you are. Because if you have this competitive nature to you where I don't care if you're playing Monopoly or tic-tac-toe or building a business, you're competitive as fuck. It just doesn't matter. You have that sense inside of you where, like,
You want to win.
as shitty as it sounds, even when I'm playing like my little cousins in a game, I let them win. But I still get the urge of, like, I could smoke them in cornhole. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to just fucking put him lights out, smoke his ass.
Yeah.
I don't, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
100%.
still get the urge every time because anytime there's any sort of challenge or game where I can improve, it's just in my DNA, right? But the thing that I've had to come to realize and accept is that, similar to what we were talking about earlier with the possibility of, if you realize something is possible and someone sets the bar at a much higher standard than you ever thought was real, if someone breaks the 4-minute mile, then it's not that you want to be them or you're jealous or envious of that person, but you're in a place where you're like, I can get myself even better than I was yesterday enough times to where I'll break the 4-minute mile too. It's not that you want to be Roger Bannister. It's you want to be better than who you were yesterday and max out your own potential. Even if it means it's a 4-minute 1 mile or whatever.
Yeah.
You just want to max out yourself.
Yeah.
And when you see other people maxing out their potentials, it makes you realize that you don't know what the fuck your potential is either, right? But you need to make sure, especially if you're a competitive individual or whatever your trait is, to not shut out who you are and to let who you are come up in the surface in whatever, as corny as it sounds, whatever unique way it's going to come up, so that you're not shutting out your own potential, your own possibility, right?
I think a important asterisk with that is, yes, you do actualize that competitive side to you, but you don't let it become personal with others around you, right? And so, like,
Of course.
whether it be with a friend, whether it be with a family member playing cornhole or Monopoly, right? Like, you don't let that competitive nature dictate your entire day. Right?
Oh, no.
No. So, like, how I like to look at it is, like, you go hard as fuck in that moment, right? Like, you're completely in the flow mode, right? You're completely in that type of state, and you're like, I'm gonna win this shit, right? Like, you just get super energetic and into it, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, it's okay if those emotions, feelings, right? You're like, oh fuck, we lost, or like, oh yeah, we won, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily become so attached to that, right? Where that competitive nature, completely, like, yes, you let it embody you, right? You let it flow through you, and you're still able to take, like, look at others, right? And like the activities they're doing, and let it fuel you in conjunction with your own competitive nature and help you achieve those ends. But if you don't necessarily achieve those ends, right, or something goes wrong, or you overly exaggerate your competitive nature in like whatever sport activity you're doing, that you just kind of, it's like a competitive reservedness, right? And so I think that is how I like to approach things, because you're still competitive, but you're reserving all those extra feelings, emotions, and things that completely take over your mental mindset. Because whether it be you're super competitive when it comes to like winning, right? And then let's just say you lose, and you just become so engulfed in that emotion of losing that's all you become. That's all you think about after that, right? I don't know. You have to really, in my opinion, be able to move on from a loss. Like, obviously learn from it. Obviously you want to win, right? Everyone wants to win. No one wants to lose, right? Obviously take the value from that situation, but don't be stuck in that spot of like for 24/7, like a week after or whatever, for a long ass time of just being stuck in emotion and all that type of stuff, because it will seriously detriment your life.
Yeah, I mean, immediately what it makes me think about is because when I was younger and growing up, I was a fucking shithead because I had no control over my competitiveness. And the way it came up most of the time was when I was playing soccer and on a team. I would just be a complete dickhead to my teammates. Even worse dickhead went to the kids that we were playing against. Like, terrible. Competitive as fuck. Still, that's always been there, always will be there, I think. But no control over it. But what it makes me think about is because I'm not like some superstar athlete, like not even close. I'm not a bad soccer player, but I'm not great. Like I'm not some Division I athlete. I'm not. But it makes me think like if I was some high level athlete and had this competitive nature and the shittiness to me, but with amazing, insane results to back it up, it makes me wonder if I'd ever be where I am today. Because if I had grown up with that paradigm, with that conscious belief that me being shitty to others is contributing to my overwhelming success, if I would have any lick of sympathy, empathy, or any understanding of what it means to actually work on myself, right? Because if I wasn't humbled by the fact that, you know, I wasn't the star player on my team ever, would I be in the place where, makes you think a lot. Does that make sense at all?
I'm just like
spewing.
No. I get what you're saying. Can you just can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah. If I had grown up being the best soccer player with that competitive nature, combined with my emotional complete immaturity and treating people like shit, would I still be that same shitty kid if I was an amazing soccer player? If I had never gotten humbled? Because then my paradigm would be.
So you're saying you are humbled right now?
Yeah. I had to have been. So it made me realize that being a dickhead to other people doesn't work, right? Being mean and allowing my competitiveness to make me be shitty equals failure, right? I'm not the best player on the field. Therefore, what I'm doing can't be right. But if I was the best player on the field growing up, would have been led to believe that treating people like shit, being an asshole, and allowing my competitiveness to turn me into a dickhead mean that's what I need to do to be a successful person.
So if you didn't necessarily see the results that came from being a competitive dickhead or whatever soccer player, would that have necessarily changed the person you are today?
Yeah. It just makes me think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's because that's a big part of becoming conscious of like your possibility, right? Because like not necessarily in that direct situation, but like if you're not aware of necessarily the outcome, right, or aware of just any outcome in general, whether it be your own outcome or like, because that is the possibility that you're trying to actualize, right? Like you see the outcome of like your friend that with that car, right? That's the outcome you want, right? But you're here, but you need to get a means to an end you need some type of means to get to that end, right? And I think in your type of situation, so whether that be being here, a competitive douche dick fuck soccer player, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to be, but like, you here the other end is being humble, nicer, you know, having that competitive
but just
reservedness,
as skilled,
right?
Right. So in those, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, if that's
I could have gone down a different route, even if I didn't figure it out this way.
Yeah. I think it could have gone. It's not a direct like. There's multiple possibilities, but like that is the one
that makes
possibility.
Sense. So. Yeah, I think the reason why I say it is just because most of the kids that I know, I mean, I don't even know if I can think of any exceptions. Maybe I'm not looking for them. Anyways, most of the kids that I know that grew up similar to me with that competitive dickhead mindset, but were way better than me at soccer, are still those guys. Still those guys. Still the guy that nobody wants to play any sports with.
What do you think was different about you? Like, was it because you became conscious of it and they're just not, or is that?
I mean,
is that too simplified?
for me, it was I had to have been humbled. I wasn't as good as those kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So even though they might have been a complete douchebag, and I was a complete douchebag too, I was coming from a place where I'm with you. I'm not better than you at soccer. So me being a douchebag to you is like, you're just being a dick. You're on the same level as me, right? There's no hierarchy difference here. But when you're coming from a place of, oh, I'm the star player and I'm going to treat you all like shit, in a sick way, it is justified. It's not. But you know what I'm saying?
I got you.
They're coming from a place of they could cast judgment from a understandable perspective. Should they? No. But it makes sense. It adds up, right? And so if I wasn't forced to have been, yeah, Jason's just a douchebag, but he has no idea. Jason's just a douchebag, but he's with us. He's with the other average athletes, right? So he's coming from a place where he has no right to judge. So then it forces me to understand that, okay, if I'm with the pack, but I'm acting like I'm above the pack, then I need to understand that it's not working. Whatever I'm doing to try and become a better soccer player or a better person isn't working because I'm still with the average pack.
Yeah, but you're acting as though you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think made me consciously aware of it, right? In terms of the narrow sense of soccer competitive as douchebag dickhead, right?
Yeah.
There's tons of other ways it comes up in my life. But I think in that aspect, that's what got me to change. Because it's not that I don't have the urge anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still very, very competitive. Like, I still play soccer frequently. Like, whenever I'm on the field, whatever, like, good example, yesterday, this kid, I'm playing defense, and the kid comes up, and he's trying to run in behind me, and I literally just grabbed him because he would. In soccer, it just happens. Like when everybody's crowding the box, whatever, you kind of grab the other guy and you try to push him away from whatever.
Yeah.
And so when I grab him, he ripped my shirt and just throws me on the ground, and then I get up and like immediately I get in his face, and then I just turn around. I'm like, what? I'm done. I'm not getting it. The play was over. And I was like, I'm not getting into this shit. And it's like, I don't know where the fuck I was going with it. Essentially, I got to a place where the same situation doesn't bring out that shittiness in me anymore.
Okay.
But I went on a huge tangent. You were asking where it comes from. I understand what you're saying.
I even asked that.
I think it's from the fact that I had to have been humbled because I wasn't the star player on the team.
Okay.
I went everywhere there. Jesus Christ.
No,
But
no.
does that make sense?
I'm just trying to like wrap my head around like. So you got humbled in order to be a better soccer player, or you got humbled in order to change, in order to stop being as like a shitty dickhead.
Essentially, I realized in my brain, consciously or unconsciously, being a dickhead doesn't equal being the best player because I wasn't the best player, but I was a dickhead.
Gotcha.
But they were. So maybe it came from, oh, this is what success is. All the kids that I play with are douches, but they're the best.
Yeah.
And I'm just as competitive as them. So let's be a douche because I want to be the best.
Gotcha, but that didn't work.
I mean, I had to realize that over the span of like 10 years.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. So would you say like just them being a better soccer player was just them being a better soccer player? Like it was more so just like genetics and type of
Genetics.
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Damn, dude. Yeah, that's a really good way of thinking about it too, because if you take that scenario, right, and you kind of, ooh, this is interesting. So oh wow, this is really cool. So we've been mainly talking about seeing possibility increases probability in a positive sense, in a negative sense. Right?
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, we like fucking missed the whole other side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say let's just say you're in a really negative environment, right?
Yeah.
Take that soccer example for like, you're in a really, really shitty situation, right?
Yeah.
And all you're being exposed to is just negativity and negativity, right?
Yeah.
And there's most likely, based on what you've been exposed to, you're going to engulf yourself into a negative environment, right?
Yeah.
And on that basis, you're going to develop values, beliefs on that type of basis. And so those outcomes and those results that we were talking about before are going to be like negative.
Yeah.
So whether that be like, oh, I'm never going to be a good soccer player, or I'm never going to achieve my dreams, right?
But do you think that there has to be some sort of desired outcome in order for you to want that? Right? So like in the sense of if they weren't a good soccer player, I wouldn't have tried to just been a douche. Does that make sense? Like, it took me down to a negative path, but it was because I wanted to be a better soccer player, right? So the possibility of being a better soccer player.
Okay. Yeah, and even in like even in the positive end type of situation, right? You can be exposed to negative possibilities, right? So in order for you to be a good soccer player, you look at the negative aspect of being a douche, right? And that will make you help you get to that positive end of being a good soccer player, right? So you can develop in the positive sphere if you're following me. In the positive sphere, you can pick up on negative qualities. So whether that be I want to get this girl, right? Positive end, you start being a douche, right? You start to be like a fucking, whatever, asshole to everyone, right? Yeah. And so you see individuals in your circle doing the same thing and it's working for them. You can pick up negative qualities as well. So it's really about being conscious of what types of, because it's tough too, because
it's not the outcome, it's the method.
It's the method, method to getting outcome. But even still sometimes, like, I think you got to, depending on how you define good and bad, like, you really got to understand what's good and what's bad, right? And depending on how old you are, that might be tough for you to understand. But if your desire is to get with a girl, right, and you see all your friends being a douche, right, and that's the quality you replicate, and you don't necessarily get that end, or I don't know, just developing that quality in general is not, in my opinion, not the best, because look at the effects it's going to cause in your life. It's going to be harmful to your life and your relationships. But I just think you really have to be consciously aware of what qualities you're using as a means to get that end. That's what I think. That's what I think it really comes down to.
Yeah, because it's also, at least in my idea, it's a lot easier to realize when something is out of alignment with you, rather than realizing when something is desirable or for the betterment of you or the world or whatever. Yep. Right? It's easier for you to understand, this feels shitty when I'm playing this girl, or when I'm treating other people like shit on a soccer field. Right? That feels shitty. Move away from that.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to see what's right.
Yep.
Right? Instead of, does that make sense?
So move away from...
Don't try and treat a girl a certain way. Just don't do those stupid things that make you feel inadequate, out of alignment, like a douchebag. Yep. Don't do those things. Yeah. And then as a result of that, what's bad?
Yeah.
And as a result of moving away from what's bad and not necessarily trying to figure out and move towards what's good, is going to move you towards what's good. So don't try and figure it all out. Just understand what's not good, what's out of alignment, what feels shitty, and just move away from that.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because like for me, like when it came to the soccer field, the number one thing that I realized was like, never criticize your teammates on the field in a game. Just don't do it, right? Unless it's far and few. Let the coach do it.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do it, because when you're coming from a place of you've already built your reputation as a fucking douchebag, people's ears are closed to you.
Yeah.
It's too late. It's too late. Until I joined a new team, did I ever give anybody criticism, right? Once I started playing club here, then now I started giving people feedback on the field. Hey man, like, next play, do this instead. You know what I mean? If I'm out wide, pull outside and we'll make it work from there.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Cool. Right? But that's because I have a clean sheet.
Yep.
Clean sheet. And I'm blessed with that. I'm lucky for that. I get it. I acknowledge that. But when you're coming from a place of you've grown up as that competitive asshole, if you're still playing with that team, you just got to shut your mouth. Move away from what's bad. Yeah. And then you're going to be that desired teammate that people want to play with, that people enjoy being on the field with, that people enjoy spending time with. But until you stop the bullshit, until you move away from what you know feels out of, until you start moving away from what you know makes you feel out of alignment, you're never going to be able to move towards what's good. And for me, I also need to change what I decided good meant. It wasn't becoming the star player anymore. It was becoming somebody that people wanted to play soccer with. And that meant throwing away the criticism. Yeah. It meant throwing away bitching at people when they fucked up. all of that. And so when I moved away from that, that's when I moved to what was good. And I didn't even know what good was. I just stopped doing the things I knew inherently to be wrong.
And when you change the definition of good, what
I didn't change a definition. I
But-
just
but
moved.
I-
I just moved away from what's bad, and then I understood what that was.
But wasn't your definition of good beforehand? Wasn't it based on like being a soccer player? Like, was that not your definition of good?
Yes.
Yeah, but then you changed it to
I didn't change a definition of good.
so you still wanted to be a good soccer player, but
Of
but
course.
you necessarily weren't focused. Okay,
I threw away the goal.
the goal.
The only thing I focused on was not doing. I wasn't going after anything anymore. It was stop being a dick, and then see what feels, and then see what your goal is. I didn't think about it that way, and like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
synthesizing it and understanding it now from an outside perspective, that's what it was, right? Because when I stopped treating people like shit on the field, that's when I started to realize, oh my god, people really love spending time with me now. They love to play soccer with me. This is weird.
yeah,
Or maybe
Yeah.
they just didn't hate it anymore. Either way, that was my new outcome. It didn't bother me anymore to not be the number one player on the field like it used to. All I wanted to do was just be a player that people wanted to spend time with and people enjoyed to have on the field. But that became my outcome as a result of me stopping doing the things I knew were out of alignment. Does that make sense? The outcome came second before I stopped my bad habits.
Yeah, you changed the method.
After I stopped
yeah,
my
you
bad.
changed the approach that you had in that type of situation. I think
Yeah.
that's huge too, because like depending on because it's I mean obviously like the goal is to be the best soccer player, right? And like of course, but the method that you're using may be weighing you down, right? And so it may be causing harm to certain things and necessarily in your performance. So when you say move away from things that aren't necessarily in alignment with like that don't naturally feel in alignment with you being able to move towards that end, I think that is correct, because when so like if something intuitively feels off, right? So maybe someone is just naturally a douche, right? It's possible. Should they be? No. But if you naturally you feel yourself converting to being, I guess you could say, fake and to being a douche in that type of situation, one, you're being inauthentic, right? Which is when you were in that type of situation, when you were playing soccer, did you kind of like because before you made the switch, did you consciously make the action to act like a douche, or did you just kind of like unconsciously start acting like a douche?
Ask it again.
So when you were starting to reflect characteristics of your other friends in order to become a better soccer player, did you consciously make the decision
I
to
don't
be a
think so.
douche,
I
or
don't
was it
think-
unconscious? Okay,
It's definitely unconscious.
unconscious.
Had to.
Yeah, had to have been.
Yeah.
But did something feel off at all when you were playing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but I didn't know that something felt off until I started getting treated kindly by others.
Yeah.
I didn't get fake smiles from others. I didn't get the lousy fucking fish high five at the end of the game because people fucking hated me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I realized that until I started getting the genuine responses from other people, that I realized that the whole time I was getting ingenuine responses because I didn't know what a real one was.
Yeah. Yeah, and just feeling that genuine authenticity is so much better too. So like by changing the method that you use, and you're not even necessarily focused on the goal, you just really just embody yourself in that message in a more authentic, preferable way. And that's also preferable for others as well, right? It's like a compromise. I
Yeah.
think it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
unconsciously, I stopped looking at it as a black and white outcome.
Yep.
It wasn't anymore that I just wanted to be the best player on the field. Not only was that not possible for me because of my genetics, but unless I started playing with fucking 3-year-olds, you get what I'm saying.
I got you.
It changed from that's my goal to that's one of the goals. I'll never achieve it.
Yep.
But I have to know when the time and place is to be the best player I can be, where that's a priority, versus leave the field being friends with everybody. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if there's a last minute tackle that I can make and it's just a normal game. There's nothing really on the line. Do I really need to go in and try and break this kid's legs so that he doesn't score a goal and get sent off, and then have all the parents hate me and all the other kids on the other team hate me and my coach hate me and all this shit, so that we can win the game if they miss the free kick or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, is it worth it to do that? You have to understand when winning the game is the priority, or being the best player is the priority, or making friends, keeping peace, building relationships.
For sure.
Right? There's time.
Yeah.
It's not like the game's over and therefore you're never going to see these people again, right? It's not a black and white one outcome fits all.
It's like you playing pickup basketball with your friends versus being in an actual league, you know? And
Yes.
it's like, if you're in a league, you're going to, like, I'm talking competitive league, you're going to want to win that league versus you're just
Of
playing pickup
course.
ball with your friends, like.
Which is why I'm saying that it's not a black and white thing.
Exactly.
You can't always put winning the game over having a sustained positive relationship with somebody. But I never, ever, ever did that.
Yep.
It didn't matter what I was. It's funny you say it, because pickup basketballs, we used to play that all the time.
You said you'd fucking destroy me.
Did I? Oh yeah, no, I absolutely would. I'd cook your ass. I will absolutely fucking cook you. But
Hey, there's a basketball court right over there.
dude, I'll smoke your shit.
It's questionable, but we'll see.
The second this finger's good, bro, you're getting cooked.
It's just not happening.
It's gonna be worse than we went to
not gonna
Stanley. It's
happen.
gonna be worse than we went to Stanley. Christ, if we were playing for $1 a hole, you would have been like
I think I actually won that day, but
at Stanley.
oh, not Stanley. No, fuck no. Sorry, I was thinking about the flat nine when we were like, you brought up that idea.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Stanley, no. That was my worst day golf ever.
it was your worst.
Yeah.
Day. Whatever. You get what I'm
Shot
saying.
40 the next day, whatever.
What do you say?
Shot way better the next day, but. Oh.
You don't get texts. Don't worry about it.
Actually, I got one from my mom.
Oh,
6:30. Bitch.
you Britain bees.
Did you want to say anything else? No, like I thought you were going on like a point or something.
It was really just, you need to understand that no matter what you're doing, there's not one outcome fits all. It's not win the game. That's always a priority. Camaraderie sometimes comes as a priority. Building relationships sometimes comes as a priority. And you need to understand that.
And that's the method. That's not necessarily the ultimate goal.
You can't.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not one dimensional. It's not one size fits all. Your goals are not always black and white in terms of every single situation you're in. You can't always put winning the game over everything else. You can't always put winning the game over sustaining a relationship or being kind or having camaraderie or whatever it is. You can't always put that outcome over everything else. In the same sense where you shouldn't always put having camaraderie over winning the game. There's time and place. There's a time and place for everything. But the point is, don't look at it all one-dimensionally, and that's when your truest self and your most authentic self is going to come through, and the best of the possibilities will come through.
Gotcha, and that's where that comes in. It's not always a black and white thing. There's
not one-dimensional.
There's multiple priorities and multiple factors.
You just gotta
in
know
each
the time and
situation.
place.
Yep, absolutely. Hell yeah, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 52 of the Conscious Cast. I'm your host, Cal, along with my other boy, Mr. Jason Scalora. Where can they find you, my man?
At Jason Scalora on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, JASONSCALO. All right.
And MySpace. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe.
Ha ha ha.
We will see you later.
Ha ha ha.
Love yourself because I believe.
Stay handsome.
Peace.
That wasn't funny. That joke you made about MySpace was not funny.
It was.
It wasn't funny.
I bet.